So, Tony, may you please introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your background?
Sure can. You're catching me literally just getting home here, but that's all right. Okay, you can actually see me. I was born and raised in Alberta, but I've been in Saskatchewan for 21 years now, and I've been a political animal for my entire life. Unfortunately, it was someone else named Trudeau who made me realize that the term, just because you are not interested in politics, doesn't mean politics is not interested in you. That one hit me good and hard when the National Energy Program came about in the early 1980s and got me active and involved and engaged in politics, well, before I was even 10 years old. So I've followed politics ever since. It took me probably the better part of 20 years before I understood that there is no federal solution to Canada, that you need to have strong provinces. And without strong provinces who actually stand up for themselves, like Quebec does, Canada doesn't function properly because it's not set up to function by one strong central government. So I finally realized that we need strong provinces who actually are willing to take the Constitution, hold it in front of the federal government's face and say, stay out of my lane, just take care of what you need to take care of. And that's what's brought me to the Buffalo Party. The Buffalo Party actually believes in provincial autonomy and believes in strong provinces. And by having strong provinces, well, that's how we make Canada work. And now that I've come to understand that, well, I'm all in for Buffalo.
Right on. So, you've worked on many election campaigns in the past. What did you learn from those experiences that you bring forth to your own campaign?
Well, I've learned that messaging is key. Another thing I like about Buffalo, because we do have a strong message, one that I believe resonates with people, because it's simply taking back what is ours. I've worked on a lot of campaigns federally and provincially and even municipally, and teamwork is key. We've got a good, strong organization at Buffalo where we have a group chat. We are regularly in contact with one another. And I've also learned that really politics is about people. And it really is that simple. I mean, you've got to be able to listen to people and you've got to understand what it is that concerns them. 99% of Canadians don't understand the differences of authority between provincial and federal and municipal governments, as an example. So you just got to be able to weed that out and say, okay, this is your concern. Okay, this is a federal matter, but let me give you my opinions on that. And let me tell you what we can do from a provincial end, as an example. And people are receptive to that. A lot of politicians just say, oh, nope, that's a federal responsibility. And they kind of blow people off. It's like, no, you got to listen to what people have to say. And people want to be heard, especially now at a time like this when Canada is so dysfunctional. People just really want to be heard, and we have to be here to hear them.
Well, that being said, what issues are you hearing people talk about in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan's largest city, and in particular your constituency of Saskatoon, Fairview?
In Fairview, a lot of people are concerned about crime and addictions. There is a homeless shelter well, I shouldn't even say addiction center, but there's a homeless center that was installed into our constituency by the provincial government and Saskatoon Tribal Council with very little public consultation. And once that shelter was implanted into what's part of our constituency in the Fairhaven neighborhood, petty crime has gone up. Violent crime has gone up. Not long ago, a person was just out taking a walk and he was actually killed because someone hit him with a pipe, I believe it was, just for the crime of going for a walk to head to the store like he had done every single day. There's reports of addicts who would stand right on people's front porches. There was a person I knew who lived there who had an addict come right trying to break into the patio in his apartment, broad daylight. There's needles found in the park close by constantly. And residents had really very little consultation. It was more that there's a public meeting, it's coming, what do you think about it? And we need to talk to people. And right now, the people who would like to move can't even sell their homes because it's really difficult to sell to a neighborhood, to people who want to move to a neighborhood, well, with that level of crime. So it's a public safety issue, and it's an addictions issue. And the center just wasn't really designed to handle the kind of addictions issues that are going on there. And Mark Arcand has admitted that now and is now trying to get out some of the addicts that are addicted to the heavier narcotics. But it's kind of like trying to put toothpaste back in the tube. So you've got, there's tenters who will live in the park outside of the homeless shelter, as well as living in the shelter. Then, of course, during the day, they disperse in the neighborhood. And that's when you're seeing the petty crime going on. And people are frustrated. They're fed up. And it's not even that they say they want the center out, but they want the center controlled. And the provincial government has dropped the ball because they just want to warehouse these addicts in there. And to me, to Buffalo, that's just the wrong approach. We don't want to give up on anybody at Buffalo. We don't really think that all these people can be as addicts. We want to see if we can't treat them, get them off the drugs, and get them back into being productive members of society. We have a policy in place that we would attach addiction centers to all hospitals and all prisons. And so if they do get arrested for petty crimes or, not so petty crimes, okay, you've got a choice. You can get clean right here, or you can suffer deep further consequences on the other side of the wall in the prison. And it's quite simple. We want to help you. We want to get you to be a productive member of society. We want you to clean up. We want you to build a good life for yourselves.
Wow. Well, thank you. And my condolences to the sir's family whose life was taken unjustly like that on a regular walk to the grocery store. That's atrocious.
It is.
All that being said, why do you think that the issue of provincial autonomy is important? And then how does that provincial autonomy impact such important matters as policing, healthcare, and federal-provincial relations?
Okay, well, in Section 92 of the Canadian Constitution, policing and healthcare are actually specifically outlined as provincial responsibilities. And so Buffalo Party just believes in taking those responsibilities back for the province. The reason that it's important on a provincial level, especially here in Western Canada, is because the federal government really doesn't care what we think as provinces. As an example, Saskatchewan has 14 seats in the House of Commons in Canada, in a parliament that at the next election will have 343 seats. So our 14 seats, our 3% of the national population, doesn't have a voice in Ottawa. And Ottawa likes it that way because they like to take the revenue from our agriculture, they like to take the revenue from our natural resources, but they don't really want to give us any authority on how those are managed. Well, natural resources, as an example, is also a provincial responsibility, and Buffalo believes we need to take back authority over provincial responsibility. Policing being an important one, because right now the RCMP controls most of the rural policing in this province. So you have officers that come in representing Ottawa, coming from, could be New Brunswick, could be BC, could be almost always anywhere but Saskatchewan, coming into small town Saskatchewan and expecting to lay down the law. If we had a provincial police service, which is a policy of Buffalo's, then we could hire a police officer for example, in Kindersley, Saskatchewan, you could hire a local kid who wants to be a police officer in Kindersley, Saskatchewan, and they would know who the bad seeds are. They would know where, for example, the drug houses might be or the chop shops might be. And they'd be much more inclined to try to clean up their town because they have a connection to that community instead of just coming from New Brunswick so they can write speeding tickets. It's all about Saskatchewan people and empowering Saskatchewan people to take control of our own destiny in a lot of ways. Healthcare is another example. Is right now, Ottawa has bought off provinces with their own money by offering, in this case, 26% of the funding for the healthcare system. But they want, in exchange for that 26%, they want control over the healthcare system. They want to tell us exactly how we need to operate the system. Anybody who lives in Canada knows that our healthcare system really stinks. So, in my opinion, we could tell Ottawa to take their 26 cents on the dollar and shove it, and we can do the healthcare system our own way. And right now, they want to keep their fingers in there. They talk about Canada Health Act, which we can follow, and we can still do healthcare our own way. We need to let Saskatchewan innovators fix this system for Saskatchewan people. And right now, the federal government just gets in the way. So as you can tell from these past two examples, it is quite difficult for federal-provincial relations to flourish when the federal government keeps setting up roadblocks everywhere.
You know what, that's very good points that you've brought in there, and I think it's a very good thing keeping things in a provincial way, like you said, having the communities, the young people that know, and they have an incentive to keep those communities running and functioning. That was a very good point. So how do you think that we should address the growing problem of addiction that we're seeing across Saskatchewan?
Okay, I touched on that just a little bit a few minutes ago, but really we have to care about people. We can't just warehouse addicts into shelters or into other centers and then pump them full of what they call safe supply and what they call harm reduction, which is really harm production, and hope that they'll just stay out of our way and then eventually die off. And that's what I feel like the two parties currently represented in the legislature are trying to do. I think they just want to see addicts get out of the way and get out of the news cycle. Well, at Buffalo, we don't want to give up on people. We actually believe that that people who are currently addicted to drugs or alcohol or substances of any kind probably are good people. And we believe that they actually can contribute something to society. And we want to help them get there. We actually believe in people. We believe that people can be more than just an addict, as an example. So what they call safe supply, I believe, needs to be eliminated. We actually need to move to what the Alberta model is and build treatment centers and give people access to treatment. And if necessary, involuntary treatment, force them into treatment, help them get cleaned up, help them get back on a path where they can contribute to society and perhaps start families or be parts of their families again and be good, productive, contributing members of society. I think that is what most people want, and not just dumping more money into what is becoming an industry, an addictions industry. We could probably put that government money to a lot better use than just by creating yet one more social industry on addictions.
Well, thank you so much, Sir Tony, for your contributions. And do you have any final comments that you would care to make?
Absolutely, I do. Ladies and gentlemen, I really appreciate your time tonight. And what I do want to say to wrap this up is that the Buffalo Party is here to stand up for you. We're not politicians. We are farmers, we're miners, we're truck drivers, we're bankers. And we just want to represent the common people in the legislature of Saskatchewan and put the power back in the hands of the people. Buffalo Party just believes in standing up for Saskatchewan. So I invite you to stand with us.